What's up, everybody? So my name's Logan. I own the channel. I'm gonna be putting out videos as often as I can, working on my car and other cars. See, as of right now, I have a Fiat in the garage and my Z is outside getting all dusty in El Paso, Texas. But y'all never believed how much of a bitch it is just to get to a clutch on this Fiat. We had to drop the whole subframe, and that's not even the worst of it. This man done blew up his transmission. We got pieces everywhere, bearings everywhere, so we had to order a new transmission, but that's coming in. New clutch is already in there, looking good. Old clutch, yeah, she's not too nice. All right, back to the Z though. So what we're gonna be doing a full fluid flush of everything in this besides the engine oil, because I just did that. So we're gonna do everything else. We're gonna be doing coolant, power steering. We're gonna come up here, we're gonna do the brakes, we're gonna do the clutch, we're even gonna go underneath, we're gonna do the transmission and the diff. So we're gonna replace everything, including the washer fluid, which has been in this car since I bought it. I might even remove the washer fluid, we'll see. But we're gonna be doing every single thing just to keep this car how it is. I just did an engine swap not too long ago. Got a $50,000 or 50,000 mile engine in there. My old engine blew the fuck up on me. But we're gonna be doing all this just to make it run a little bit better. I did discover though, it had a crack here and a crack here. So I threw some JB Weld on there temporarily because I'm about to go on vacation. So I'm not gonna order something when I'm not gonna be here. But I will be ordering a brand new intake manifold and valve covers, because guess they're time to get replaced, because you know these are just plastic, they like to break. But that's the only leaking I had going on. But yeah, let's get to it. So we're gonna start with the clutch. Everything you need for the clutch is right here. You're gonna need some type of suction to suck out the old fluid, and I'm using a turkey baster. And then all you're gonna need is brake fluid, and it's whichever brake fluid your car says it needs. And mine is just .3, so we're gonna do .3. So in order to suck it out, just make sure you push all the air out. You just stick it in there and you just let it suck it all up. Look how dirty that is though. That is kind of nuts. You don't want this dripping everywhere, so make sure you have whatever you're gonna put it in right next to you. Take a rag, make sure you wipe down your cap, wipe down in there. And just to show why you should wipe down in here, that is basically what was all over the bottom. I wiped it out good bit, so it's nice and clean, and we're gonna add some new fluid in. So now that that is empty, you can either use a funnel or you can YOLO it and pour, but I don't have a steady hand. So I'm gonna pour this in, and then we're gonna pump the clutch 10 to 20 times. So you're gonna put the cap on, and then you just step up in here, and you just pump the clutch 10 to 20 times. This is what it originally looked like. Don't come at me. This is the same fluid that was in there when I bought the car. It's my fault for delaying it, but this is now what it looks like after one flush. Huge difference, but that's it, brand new. So we're gonna try to get it to that as close as we can. So I'm gonna keep doing this until I get to what is a good mixture of my mind. So I ended up doing 3 more flushes, and as you can see, you know, there's our first. That's what was in there at first. There's our first flush, our second flush, and then it looked like it just wasn't gonna get any better from that. But that is what it's gonna look like brand new. But we did a total of 3 flushes, and it looks a lot better. So now we're gonna do the actual brake fluid. You just take this cap off and you get this filter out. So we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna put our cup there, and we're gonna go ahead and suck all the fluid out that we can. So you're just gonna go ahead and fill this one all the way up, because you're gonna be bleeding what was left down in the bottom, because in Z's you can't get all of them because they got a little floater right here, so you can't get all the fluid. And we also gotta drain the brake lines. So we're gonna fill it all the way up, and we're gonna jack the car up. And rule of thumb for draining this, you go from the furthest point from your holder, liquid holder, yeah. So it's gonna be the passenger rear, and then once we do the passenger rear, we'll go to the driver's rear, and then passenger front, and then driver's front. That's the order of bleeding the brakes. All right, so how you bleed your brake is you find your caliper, you find this little part on the back. It usually has a cover on it. This is the cover that was on mine, and you pull it off. Then you can make yourself a little funnel slash catcher of brake fluid that comes out. you want to typically use a clear line, but I didn't have one, so we're just gonna go with the black. And then once we see new brake fluid start draining into here, we're gonna stop it, close it, call it a day. So you just stick this end onto the nozzle, and you can do this by yourself, or if you have somebody, like my wife's in the car, I'm gonna tell her to pump up the brakes, and then I'm gonna crack it open, and we're just gonna keep repeating that until we see new brake fluid go in. See, after about 3 times, we started getting fluid, so we're gonna keep doing this until I see new brake fluid come through. So for the 350, you can't get all of it out the reservoir, so whenever you start pumping this last one, you're mainly pumping the rest out of the reservoir. Just make sure it doesn't get empty. This is what we've pumped out so far, and that's what it's starting to look like. So we're almost done with this one, and then the rest should be a cakewalk. All right, so we've gotten to where it is pretty much clear, and now we're gonna move on to the next tire. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the rest of the tires, or the rest of the brakes. You don't necessarily have to take the tires off. It's just a lot easier to reach the little plug, and it's not like it takes too long. So we're just gonna get the rest of them done, and then I'll be back whenever we do the rest. So we finished. This is what came out the reservoir, and then when we bled the back two, and then when we bled the front. So as you can see, even over time, it just got better and better and better. And we didn't even really flush them. We just bled the lines. That is currently what is in our brake system itself, and I mean, comparison is pretty nice. And when you do finish, just make sure you top it up back to where it's at max. So up next, we're gonna do our power steering, which I just have 2 12 fluid ounce bottles, and I'm just kind of hoping that's enough. If not, I'm gonna run and go get some more. So you go ahead and suck it out just like you did over there with the turkey baster. Get as much out as you can. This is what the old fluid looks like. It looks like he used ATF. So this is gonna take a couple of flushes because I'm going to go back to what Nissan wants, which is a clear fluid. Well, not really clear, but almost just like brake fluid. So we might need a couple more bottles than what I got, but we shall see. So we went ahead and filled it up. Just fill it up to the cold max because my engine's cold. If yours is a little warm, you know, it has hot min, hot max, all that other stuff. So just fill it up to that. Just realized I put it to cold min, so we're gonna fill it up a little bit more. And then the way you do this, you put the cap back on, you get in, and you turn the wheel all the way left, all the way right, all the way left, all the way right. And then you come out and you just siphon it out and do the same thing over and over and over until it gets clear. Like I said, you get in, you start it up, and you just crank it all the way. All the way. It's gonna be a workout on your arms, but just do this a few times and then go and... All right, so this is what it started as. This is my last flush, and this is it new. I'm gonna say that's pretty damn good. Just look at what I went through to get to this. I wish that on nobody. I went through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 fucking bottles just to get it to not be red anymore. I never wish that upon anybody, but hey, that end result is pretty damn good. So what we've done so far, we've done clutch, brake, and now we have done power steering. Not bad, not bad. So next we're gonna be doing washer fluid. You don't have to change or flush this. Just top it off, make sure it's full. But I'm changing it because I haven't changed it since I got the car, nor added to it. So I don't know what it looks like, and I don't have a cap. So it's the way I drain it. I jack it up because my car is pretty low. You give me more room for clearance. I put something under to catch it. And you come up and you have these hoses that go to the bottom, and all you have to do is just pop it out, and boom, there it goes. So I did catch some of the old, and like I said, I mean, it's not something you have to flush, but as you can see, I don't have a cap, so I did have some dirt that came flying out, but this is new compared to old. It's pretty simple to fill washer fluid. You just go pick up a washer fluid from Walmart, AutoZone, anywhere, and you just pour it into your reservoir. You usually have a cap on it that has like a windshield with little stuff spraying out of it, so that is what you're gonna look for washer fluid. And we're just gonna go ahead and fill this up. So boom, she's filled up, and now we're gonna work on our coolant. So in order to change your coolant, you might wanna pop this cap open for better flow. Be careful because it could be full, and if your car was just running, it is gonna be very hot, so let let it cool off. Like mine is just extremely full. So we're gonna go ahead and open that up. Don't worry, we're gonna wipe everything. We have a drip pan underneath there, catching anything dripping. You're also gonna wanna open up this. Some cars don't have a radiator cap, they just have a reservoir. So you'd crack that open to give your radiator room to breathe and let it empty out what is inside of the coolant system that is not locked in the engine. Because no matter what, when you drain your coolant, there is still going to be some that is locked inside of the engine that you're not going to be able to get to. But that's okay, because we're going to drain it, fill it up with water, let it run for about 10 minutes, drain it back out again. We're going to put a cleaner in it, fill it back up with water, let it run another 10 minutes, drain it out, and then put fresh coolant in it. So in order to drain your coolant, mine is an aftermarket, so I just have a little cap right here that I can twist off and my coolant will start draining. Other vehicles, if you have a stock radiator, you'd want to come to the side. They usually have a little nozzle. You'll want to put a socket on it, break it, but be careful because it is plastic. You don't want to break it. And if you don't have either of those, you'll find your lower radiator hose. You'll pop this clip off and you'll just pull the hose off and let the coolant drain out of there. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up. So just like that, I popped off my cap. And now we're just gonna let it fully drain out. So while you let that fully drain, if you do have a hose that goes to your radiator, you're just gonna go ahead and unhook it. So you pull the clamp back and it just pulls right off. And then you'll just find it and work it out. And once you work it out, you're gonna pull it all the way out. And then you'll get to your reservoir, which is held in by a bolt, mine by a zip tie because it's race car. But then you're gonna lift this out. I'm gonna have to cut my zip tie, but then you'll lift this out. It should come right out. If not, it might have a couple of bolts on it. But sorry for the angle. But you're gonna try not to spill as much as possible, and it comes right out. And we're gonna drain that and clean that as well. So this is the old coolant that came out of the radiator. As you can see, it's kind of brown, murky. It's just not the cleanest. And then we also got this out of the reservoir, which it's a little less brown, a little less dirty, but there is a lot of buildup and stuff floating around in it. Now that we drained the system fully, we're gonna go ahead and put it all back together. So reservoir, hook it back up, go underneath, screw in whichever plug you had or put back on your hose. Be very careful if you have plastic plugs because they will break. And then once you do that, we're gonna go ahead and fill it up with water and we're gonna let it run for 10 minutes. Once it's filled up with water, you're gonna turn this knob and just let it drain. So now we got it to where it is not draining water anymore. It's not just holding it. You're gonna wanna fill it up about halfway. Also fill up your reservoir. And I'm gonna go ahead and put the cap back on that. And then we're gonna get in the car and we're gonna go ahead and start it. Now we're gonna let it run for 10 minutes. Just make sure you watch this. If it starts to drop, fill it back up. If it starts to fill up, go ahead and close your valve. So after 10 minutes, cut it, let it cool off. Could take anywhere from like 10 minutes to 30 minutes depending on the temperature outside. But let it cool off, and then whatever you have left in here, once it cools down, you're gonna go ahead and open the valve and see if it drops back in there. So I let it cool off. It took everything that was in here except this tiny little portion down at the bottom, which is okay. So we're gonna go ahead and shut this valve and we're gonna remove this. Okay, so now I gave it time to cool down. I'm gonna go ahead and drain it and then I'll get right back to you with the next step. So now this is really gonna clean the radiator, the hoses, everything. And so what you do, you just pour this in here and then you fill it the rest of the way up with water, and then you do the same thing. You do the 10 minutes, letting it run and burping it at the same time. So once you get that filled up, another way you can also bleed is with this bleeder valve in the back right here. So what you do, you start it, you let it run, build up pressure, you crack this open and wait for coolant to start coming out of that. And that's how you know that your systems have no air in them. So now we started it up, we're gonna let it run for another 10 minutes with the cleaner in it. So we have finished the flush. We've let the old coolant drain out, and I'm just gonna go ahead and show you guys. This is the old coolant, very first coolant we pulled out. You can see there's a lot of stuff that settled to the bottom after a while. And then this is our first, not as much. And then this is our last, and there's barely any. And it's very watered down from this because we are slightly changing colors. That is our brand new one. As you can see, there's nothing on the bottom. Not murky at all like these. Very, very clean. So we're gonna go ahead and put the new coolant in. So bang, I filled it up, I squeezed my tubes, I got no bubbles, that's good. I used the bleeder valve, have no air in my system. I went around, my heat is still blowing, which is good. So we're gonna go ahead and shut this engine off, let it cool down, put the rest of this coolant that is in this reservoir back into the radiator, fill it the rest of the way up if there's anything that needs to be filled up. If not, we just take the rest and we put it in our jug, and then we'll take it on a test drive to make sure it does not overheat. Okay, so now that we've finished, we filled it fully up, put our cap back on, filled our reservoir up with fresh fluid, put that cap back on, made sure everything was put back together. Now we're gonna go underneath the car and we're gonna do the transmission and the diff. So it's been a couple days, but finally got the Fiat out of the garage, fixed up. That video is gonna be posted probably before this video, so you probably already seen it if you're watching this video. But in order to get the car up high enough so you can work on the transmission and the diff, we got it on 4 jack stands, and we got it about 3 feet off, or foot off the ground. And we're gonna go ahead and slide under here, and we're gonna get to our transmission and our rear diff. So for the Z, the drain plug is right here, and the fill plug is up here. So we're gonna go ahead and crack this, and we're gonna drain this out. And most drain plugs are right here, as you see, Allen keys, and same with the fill plugs. So we're gonna go ahead and crack this open. We're gonna see what our transmission fluid looks like. So we cracked it loose. I'm gonna have to go fishing for my drain plug, but it's in there. We're gonna go ahead and let this drain out. We're gonna get this crush washer off. We're gonna also replace that. Transmission fluid doesn't look too bad, honestly. I was expecting worse. So here we have it. This is our old, which is honestly not too bad. And here is our new, which, I mean, it's a lot lighter, but it's not as bad as I thought it would be. So once majority of it comes out and it starts dripping like this, it should be oh, I guess it fell in. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and put on a new little ring, a crush ring. So we're gonna put this on and we're gonna tighten this up. Make sure you tighten your drain plugs to spec. Mine goes to 25 foot-pounds, so we're gonna go ahead and do that. So now that's torqued, we're gonna go ahead and go over to this side, and there is our fill plug. So we're gonna pop that off real quick. And what I have here is a pump. One end would go into the hole, the other end goes into your fluid. So we're gonna go ahead and hook this up so I can show you. And like so is how it goes. So you got one end going into your fluid, goes to the pump. This pump also has a in and out to help you out. And then one end goes up and into the transmission. You're gonna go ahead and just keep pumping fluid in until you see fluid come dripping out of your fill hole, and that's how you know your transmission is full. And boom, now we have a steady stream coming out, and that is how we know our transmission is full. So we're gonna go ahead and put the fill plug back on. It's also torqued down to 25 foot-pounds like my drain plug, so we're gonna go ahead and do that up there. Make sure you do what your car asks for though. Now there's 2 ways to drain your diff. Either you can go ahead and pop these bolts off and let the bottom come out and go ahead and let all the fluid come out from there, or sometimes they have drain plugs like mine does. So we're gonna crack open the drain plug and we're gonna drain this. So when you take your drain plug off your diff, go ahead and check around for metal shavings, which mine doesn't have much. So we're just gonna go ahead and wipe it off and clean this off and wait for this to drain. So we definitely needed to change this. I put it up to the light. You can't even see through it. That's just crazy. But this is old compared to new. And as you can tell, there's a big difference in that. And this stuff is supposed to be a lifetime fluid, which is just crazy to say. So just like you did for your transmission, go ahead and find your fill plug, crack that open, get your hose, and fill her up. And bang, just like that, she's full. So we'll go ahead and plug her up. Ah! There we go. Go ahead and plug her up. And now we're gonna clean up and torque this down. So this is all of our fluids that we did change. We have the radiator fluid. It looks a whole lot better. We got the brake fluid. That looks definitely a lot better. Washer fluid, just got all the dirt and rocks out. Then we come over here, man, the clutch fluid really needed to be changed. So that looks good. It got flushed out. Then we have our transmission fluid, which looks a lot cleaner, and that's gonna make our transmission and our gears shift a lot better. We come over here, we got power steering, which, whew, it definitely needed a lot of work. And this one needed a lot of work too. This is our diff fluid. So it definitely is a good thing that we went ahead and changed all of our fluids Now the Z is gonna be running very well. We got fresh oil, it's only like 500 miles old, and we got now fresh fluid all around. And while I got the car up, I'm gonna go ahead and do a tire rotation, which you should do regularly. I can't speak English, so we're just gonna act like I said it perfect. All the time, or all the miles or times that you need to change all your fluids is gonna be put in throughout the video. But I hope you guys enjoyed, man, and just stay tuned because there's gonna be a lot more videos coming out.